And the French had this nonsense they call the green light. It means if you go and you are caught, then we didn't send you. But when you go to Africa and you do everything that you can do, you go back and read the story of ELF that you were talking about. How ELF was actually one of the companies we grew up knowing, but they were actually like an affront for the most corrupt, the most egregious human rights violations that have happened in Africa. Actually raising funds and sponsoring politicians both in France and in Africa. The last thing I want to make in that comment was actually the idea that I have actually said, they actually asked him and they said, this was critically interesting, that Africans may have independence, but independence doesn't equal freedom. And then the next statement was, yeah, Africans are allowed to vote, but when they vote, we choose who they vote for. We chose the candidate. And I think he might have gotten that from Stalin years before, who actually said, yes, the Russians can vote, but we count the votes. So what are we talking about in terms of like voting under this kind of a regime? We are going to vote, but they will choose who votes. They will choose who count the votes. And so where would that vote end? Nowhere. So please, my brothers and sisters, as you know, I've always said the laboratory that is manufacturing all those monsters in Africa is actually in Paris. And this is, to me, one of the reasons why I just cannot know how you can negotiate these two countries together. You're not going to cut off France. Therefore, that laboratory will continue to manufacture monsters like beer to feed on the blood of people of Southern Cameroons. They want your territory, they don't want you.
Yeah, that's right.
That is the thing. There is a big difference. They want my territory, they don't want me. And so, please, I'll open the mic, and then we'll take the microphones, we'll take some questions.
That is why I think Dr. Akwanga, I see his vision as well as the vision of AP Sako, who is now the acting president of the IG. So I think if we leave here, what I would pledge is that we put our hands into our pocket and equip our boys who are fighting with them guns and try to upgrade them, and our independence will be tomorrow, not another 60 years if we want to just speak and speak and speak. Thank you.
In your discussion, you seem to have dismissed the effectiveness of the raison d'etre for a referendum. I guess that's what I understood from what you said. But I can remember there are lots of cases in the world where countries in dispute like this have held multiple referenda. I think the case of a country like Canada, where the French-speaking Canadians, they've always been given an opportunity to vote whether to remain in the union with the English-speaking Canadians. And the vote has always gone through, and they've lost the vote each time they do vote. So what is wrong with us, taking a vote in a referendum to decide if we continue to be with them or not? What is wrong with having multiple referenda?
First of all, I want to say I feel very touched and privileged to have this dynamic history of us here with our father, an academician, and everything, the professor. I have a question for our frontline leaders and for the professor. To begin with the frontline leaders, last year we had a gathering like this in DC, where we saw a united front. A few days, weeks after, they all dispersed into the bushes. Here again we are today in that same kind of scenario. Are you willing to tell us here today, at the end of this, or say tomorrow, that you are united for good? Because what I seem to understand in what Prof. elaborately told us, we cannot fight as a divided people. We have to stand on one point, and one point only. So I want to get that commitment from our frontline leaders. And to Prof, you have been at the very start of this, when you talk about working with His Royal Highness for Africa. I am so elated to know that his representative is here I want to know what the groundworks are, because I know you have a lot of international push in your hands, and you can take us both so far. I want to know what you have been doing, or you intend to do with our father, His Royal Highness, to be able to get us together, especially with the frontline leaders, so that the international community can hear us and hear us good. Thank you.
Important, because even if you're good to talk with an adversary, you must be in a position of strength. At least you must project the ability that if this talk failed, then you go back. I never underrated the issue of ground zero. It's very important. But the aspect of the talk which I referred to are things which are governed by international law. Assets and liabilities that have accumulated over the years of the colonial setup. It's not something which is just decided on like that, international law. The issue of people who are going on retirement, pension, it's a big issue. Who have been working for French Cameroon. Their pension scheme, their pension have to be paid. They are not going to ask Ambassador to pay that. When we were in Nigeria and we left Nigeria, those of our competitors who were in Nigeria returned, but Nigeria was responsible for paying their pensions. That has to be taken care of. We're talking about location of real property, located in French Cameroon and located abroad. That's why I was making the statement that for real property located abroad and so on, embassies, we are talking of companies, there are a lot of things. Money in foreign, in reserve. I know they have a lot of that thing there in France. France will not like to resist, but this is part of international law. France has to release that. That's the kind of talking I'm talking about. So that's why there is no discretion there. We're talking about what international law says, how these things are divided amongst ourselves. Return of archival material, return of our artifacts that were stolen and taken over to French Cameroon, and payment of reparation. Each time any country engages an illegal war, an unjust war, at the end it will have to pay reparations. And how the amount is quantified, of course, is governed by international law. So that's what I was talking about. Yes.
The second issue was referendum.
Yeah. Oh, yes. No, the example, unfortunately, if this example given is a legitimate one. The Quebec issue is a self-determination referendum. And under the law of self-determination, it's an inalienable right. Can be exercised 1 million times. Self-determination is not one event that occurs on one day after that is over. Quebec has had 2, it has 3, it has 4. Scotland has had 1, it has second one, it has third one. Even Britain is talking about Brexit. He's talking about having a second one. So, but that's quite different. But here we're talking about a colonial territory. And we are saying, in the context of the colonial territory, you are not going to have a referendum where the colonial power is still in control of the territory. That's what we are saying. Because it can manipulate it, can do whatever thing it is, and so on and so forth. You know very well how they've been playing on population census. The French Cameroon, our combined population, what they call so-called Norwest South, is just past 2 million. Yeah. That's what they're saying. So we can cook up those figures, and how will we challenge them? And I'm saying, for any credible referendum, there are 2 situations. Either we ourselves are fully in control of our territory, and that's where we can do the statistics, count up to determine who is entitled to vote, who is not entitled to vote, residency, should it be. These things are done. Or, if the territory comes under international administration, like Namibia came under international administration, UN, or like happened in Kosovo, or like happened in East Timor under international administration, then they organize that. This kind of referendum is not a referendum given an option to join or to say, no. We are past that stage. There's no issue now about joining whoever. We are now trying to convince the international community, look, when we started this independence struggle, it was not something which a group of leaders had decided to impose on the population. Look at the vote for independence. That what happened even in South Sudan. Overwhelming majority, over 90%, all over 90%. So that's what I was talking about, that was going to happen.
I think one final quick note on His Royal Highness Fon Goji Dinka,
yes.
and I believe the relationship or marrying of the 2 ideologies.
Yeah, I would hand that over to my brother. Perhaps you He's much more recently commencing. It's quite a while I've not seen the Highness for some time now. Yeah, thank you.
A house that is built, the stability will depend on the foundation. Sometimes we can be in a rush to raise the walls, and when the walls cannot stand, we say we cannot build a house. But rather, when we have the opportunity to do it again, we will start with the foundation. So when we came the first time, trying to work together, we had a secret meeting before the public meeting. I want to confess that we were not successful in the secret meeting, and that is why the walls could not stand. So this time around, we want to be successful, so we started where we're supposed to start. So we have been working in off camera, trying to lay that foundation that can carry the walls. So I can assure you that now we stand a better chance to succeed in our experiment. So we are not yet there altogether, but we are working, and we are not working from the top, we're working from the bottom. If my brothers have something else to say, they can add.
Well, they always choose me to say it because they say I'm the Benjamin among all of them. Ourselves, although they know that I'm the tallest. So, you people heard it from Comrade Sako. We have taken time off to right the wrongs of the past experience. We have taken time off to examine where we went wrong and to see exactly how can we better this time. And so we are actually willing to call on our people to be patient with us as we completely put in place this edifice that we have started working on, that will give us room to make this struggle shorter than it would have been. And so the piece of news I want me to announce to you is that we have laid the foundation of what will henceforth become known as the Southern Cameroons Liberation Council. We have signed to it, and we have also within this come to the hard reality that it is important for us to really pull together. We have identified areas of collaboration, and we will henceforth operate with a unique treasury. And this unique treasury and this unique treasury will be absolutely independently run from the leaders, so that the body that will be in charge of it will ensure the total accountability and transparency that is required with the management of the public resources. You have thank you very much.
One issue to raise with the leadership. If you are reassuring us now, we need more than that. Because the type of slander that one has read in social media from individual members is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable, because we are giving fodder to the guys in Yaoundé. So we have to come to a situation where there is some pledge signed. We want to discuss ideas among you, not personalities. That's right. We're not moving back from that. My last comment is that I spent 2 years, 8 months in Yaoundé when I came back from Britain and left. It was because I concluded that this BS and all these are not the people taking decisions in Cameroon. And my career has reinforced that in every country where I've worked. It doesn't matter if Benin was our neighbor or Cote d'Ivoire was our neighbor. The behavior will be the same. There is a French plan to of assimilation that started off in 1962. Secondly, they have a system of buying up donors. You must have heard the Suba of the Congo ended up in exile in London. How did it happen? The Suba doesn't know London, but it ended up there because deals were made. Yes. We have to be on the watch out and understand that beer is only a puppet on the string. The decisions are being taken by the people who are behind the curtain. And the moment we forget that, we will then move into all arguments about, oh, we are underrepresented, we are this. That is not the issue. The two systems are totally incompatible, whether legally, educationally. They have decided to take over our lands. They go to every major town in Southern Cameroons. The lands and surveys department is in the hands of Francophones. And they are dishing out titles. Land titles. So this is something we have to think about.
What is keeping people hanging to those groups? I want Kunamu to tell me in clear terms why they should hang to the groups. Why we should call you individual foreigners. My second question.
Please, don't clap. Let's finish this.
My second question goes to Commander Beneza Akwanka. I hear you speak so enthusiastically. You create the nostalgia for me to be home. You want to fight. Why do you keep talking about self-defense? If somebody declares war on you and you are ready for it, why don't you accept the war and fight the war? Why do we keep talking about self-defense? Are we not big enough to face the enemy? When you remain on self-defense, you beat yourself that you cannot stand in. If we're ready for the war, let's take on to the war. What is keeping us back?
All of them would have.
Thanks very much for the opportunity given to me. I'm Nixon Carlos, a fighter on the Facebook. I want to thank Commander Sako, Kwanga, even those who are not present here with us. We understand there are a lot of polemics on Facebook and everywhere. We are here to fix, to make it happen, and not to destroy. It has happened, it has happened. What has happened, let's keep it aside and move forward. We are here, as I said, they are here for unity, to fight, and to liberate our territory. Before I continue, please, before we are coming here tomorrow, we want to see the flag of the Federal Republic of Amazonia from there. I didn't see it. And again, yes, make sure it's there. We are at war. Everybody here should bear with me. We are at war. Here has declared war on us. We are at war. We are not here for a child's play. We are here to fight and to defend our territory. Please, we want to leave here with one solution in our mind. We are here to defeat the enemy, Pierre and his people, France. We are not too small to defeat them. But we cooperate, we unite as one, then with me, we are going to reach Boya. Bia can do anything in Cameroon. I speak with those top officials, even when our president was taken from Nigeria, the day they landed and said, told me, they are there. I am not afraid of anybody in this war, but I speak with tears in my eyes because we are being corrupt. But please, unite as one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I want to make an appeal to each one of you here. There are international observers in the hall. Please don't talk as if this is specifically Southern Cameroon's environment. We need to behave ourselves. So there are some questions, I beg you, you don't need to ask them here at this time. You'll be messing up everything. Now, let me be very clear. Pa, you are my father. The gray hair alone speaks for itself. You see, this struggle is not a seminary. It is not a nonary. This is a struggle. And within this struggle, We all are struggling within the struggle. So you should not expect decency when any individual with an Android phone becomes a broadcaster. And if there is anyone in this hall who is expecting that the people online, you are going to control them, some of them you don't even know them. Today, we Southern Cameroonians, we cannot even identify ourselves by our names. You don't know who your mother is or your father is. There are so many among us here who have one father from the other side or one mother. People have individual things they are benefiting, and the only thing they can succeed is to create chaos online. Why can't we stay focused? Nobody forces anyone to go online. Switch off your phone, stop all the WhatsApp groups, and stay focused. You have a cell phone number, you want to talk to Bola Sako, you call him. As long as you go online, you will see crazy things online. And you can't stop it. You have to make up your mind. There will be more insults. People will even wish you dead. You have to decide. We have to decide. He raised an issue of self-defense. Every war on earth is fought on the premise of self-defense. Every war. If you ask the Americans why they went to Iraq, they were defending homeland United States, so they took the war the other way. Because they were scared Saddam was having chemical weapons. And if they don't stop him there, by defending homeland, he will bring it here. Show me one war that has been fought without the people saying they want to defend something. One war. Is there any? Even when they are attacking, they are the aggressor. Hitler said he started the war because he wanted to defend the rights and the pride of the Aryan race. That is why there was the Second World War. So every war is self-defense. That is what it means. No war is fought on the basis of attacking. That attacking is a method of defending yourself. So why do we say that it's self-defense under international humanitarian law? I'm not a lawyer. I'm a political scientist. What I understand is simple. It is our right to defend our homeland. If someone gets into your house, no matter how powerful he is, if he's even having a weapon, an AK-47, he threatens your wife, he beats your children, even with nothing, as a father, to have that honor of being the dad, you will rise up and try to attack, to defend your family. If you don't do that, and that man leaves that house and go, even your children no longer respect you. You will lose your respect as a man. So you will get up and then the man with the gun will hit you. When you fall and you are down, your children will now be crying that you should not die. Even though you were not able to face that man, you are proving to them that you can at least defend them. That is self-defense. So we must defend our rights. We must defend ourselves. I want to assure you people something. I, Akwanga, who is standing here, I've never ever watched even Comrade Ayaba online. I've never watched Eric Tato or any of them. I don't even know some of them. When I go online, I pass a message, I go. I don't care. I don't even read comments. The reason is I want to stay focused. I don't want anything to disturb me. So I am not troubled. It is people who send these things, I don't even read them. I don't read them. So you can say what you want to say, you're wasting your time. They have tried. Let us stay focused. My appeal I'm giving, please. When you come, you ask questions to us. I don't want to jump to what Comrade Paul will answer. But I've told you people, look at South Sudan, look at South Africa, and look elsewhere. There have never been one group fighting in a situation like this. There have been different groups. But have accepted to come together and do the job. So let us stop looking for force and start looking for the possibility of us working together as a people. Thank you.
There was a question for me, but I'd like to say something first. First, to thank Prof for a wonderful keynote. You come here and you drink from the fountain of knowledge. I think when President Obama was exiting, he mentioned something. They asked him in one of his exit interviews, why did it take you so long to go into Libya to solve the problem there? And they said they didn't know who they could work with. One of the reasons we do this conference is to tell America that these are the people you should work with. America has provided arms for the Kurds. They provided for the people in Libya because Gaddafi threatened that there were going to be rivers of blood, and he called them rats. In Amazonia, oceans of blood have flown, and they have called us rats and roaches. It is time America provides us with the weapons to defend our people. It is the right thing to do. It is the only thing to do. So to self-defense, we will be able to do self-defense even better when we get a properly equipped army. At the same time, I applaud America for withdrawing that military support from Cameroon. You were going to a very wrong place. France provided weapons to Rwanda, and they must bear the responsibility of those 1 million deaths in 100 days. 1 million deaths in 100 days in Rwanda. Now, to the question that I was asked, why are we not getting together? We should be very careful, my people. What is happening online with our people speaking their mind is something we should tolerate. This is all about democracy. Again, to quote my favorite president, Barack Obama says, democracy is messy. Let us accept democracy as a mess. The groups that are formed, some of them will transform into political parties in Amazonia. You definitely don't want a one-party system. You definitely don't want to put in place a tyranny in this revolution. Our brother from Eritrea has warned us about this. If we don't democratize this process, if we don't hold people accountable, if you don't call out Comrade Bo when he does the wrong thing, you are growing a monster. You will not be able to deal with it. If people cannot allow you to speak when they don't have an army yet, they are going to kill you if you speak when they have an army. I told you earlier today, don't lose your voice. It is the only thing you have. Speak up, hold up your dignity, hold your head high. Let them take you to an execution post if they think so. Let them take you out. But you are here, you have your place, you have your rights. Don't surrender them. Now, let me fix that by saying, to work together is a difficult thing. We have committed the errors that we have committed. We have now taken those into account. And we have said part of that building was because the cement, the concrete did not set yet. And we put up the second story and it collapsed. That's what happens in architecture. So right now, you will see us go slowly. One of the big things will be, yes, we had a march last year, but Comrade Sako and myself met back when we were cooking this new one. That was too long. We have to have a way of getting together. And let me tell you who is in charge. You are in charge. There's nobody among these leaders who should be above reproach. If you don't see us together within a frequent moment, make sure that you stop it. Don't fund Morris. Don't fund APLM. Fund that common group. Because the money will force the movements to work together. And don't wait for somebody to provide you accountability over a long period of time. If you've not seen the books in 1 month, something is wrong. As for the books, if we come out with this thing and you don't see a system that says in 1 month time there will be a report, it's not coming from us, it's independent, it will always be there and it is public, you know we are playing tricks. Thank you.
We have very, very knowledgeable, experienced fathers amongst us. Why can't we form a council of elders like ombudsmen where if one of our leaders has a problem with the other one, you bounce it off that council, the ombudsman, and say, okay, we have this problem, how do we solve it? Instead of going to the media and say, you are this, you are that, then you inflame things. We have to do that, please, so we lessen all these rancorous things we have.
Thank you for keeping it clean.
Yeah, you question for, I'm sorry, Professor Carlson. Just real quick, We discussed 1608 ad nauseum today. I'm wondering why we never got back to the original sin of the UN, which was 1514. It was just months before 1608, which granted absolute autonomy to all colonies and former trust territories. And I want to shout out to Bo Herbert for saying what I've been saying all along. We've got to form, once this is over, once we get to Boya, we've got to form political parties and fight it out politically. We are not South Sudan. We are not individual fighting forces. Thank you.
My name is Julius Tucker. I have a point to add on the Collaborative Council. It would be imperative for us to create an independent anti-corruption commission that will ensure transparency and good governance, that will be able to implement the memorandum of understanding for the collaboration that will be established after the resolution tomorrow. Thank you.
You talked about the UN. Maybe could you remind the UN why in 2010 they gave beer for La République's celebration of 50th anniversary 2 marks? Why was the significance of that presentation? And did they forget that they reminded us that there are 2 Cameroons? And another question to our leaders. They always say in our culture that a quiet house is an empty house. And I believe that the power of the people is more important than the people in power. Would our leaders pledge in front of us that they are not going to speak negatively of each other? Because when you say negative of each other, it destroys the revolution. Let us fight indoors and hold hands like friends when we go out.
Right. 1514 still constitutes the legal basis for decolonization. And I've always argued we cannot escape. The reason for British escape in 1961 was the argument that, well, remember 1514 was adopted in December 1960, just a month before the plebiscite. So they said the process was already underway and therefore couldn't apply that one. But now it doesn't hold, which in any case was a red herring. Because in October 1961, that resolution is a binding UN resolution. There's no option about it. And they should have followed it and simply handed power to a elected government of the Southern Cameroons in 1954. Yes. They didn't, of course, for self-serving reasons. So now we are now saying that resolution forms part and parcel of the documents under which we constitute our right to self-determination. So that's me. As the 2 maps, the thing about the 2 maps is, unfortunately, the UN, the President of the UN General Assembly, Dr. Tiki, I understand, is passed on. But what the UN often does, and even international diplomacy, they speak in tongues. They don't tell, the assumption is that you would understand when you do something like that. Why would the United Nations General Assembly send its president to go to so-called a sovereign state and show the sovereign state, the head of state, and say, these are 2 maps? That has never happened. The implications are clear. That, look, Mr. President of sovereign state, this is a sovereign state. This one is another territory, and he even said in French, l'histoire en a ainsi décidé. In other words, you can't be claiming this territory. History had decided that, no, you are separate. But the thing about international diplomacy, even though BIA ignored all of that, they didn't go to enforce that, because it was not part of the UN resolution that was adopted. Even if the resolution has to be a binding resolution adopted by UN Security Council that can actually has power to enforce it, including enforcement measures under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. So that's what it is, depending upon the goodwill of whoever the head of state is. But Biya, as we all know, has never been a good person, so he didn't bother about that. Thank you.